haven't seen that before, so it's useful to show it off. And let's get going.
Yeah, Rookie Team League Week 3. Between Team Momo and Shieldbattery, game number 3, starting right now, both at tied 1-1. And you start with the yellow.
Okay, so in the top left, in the 10 o'clock position, we have the yellow Protoss, glaba.
And he is representing. I'm going to tell you right now. He is representing Team Momo. And now we on the bottom right, bottom left, we have at the 7 o'clock position a Peach Terran All-Stars with 3 Z's, representing Shieldbattery. He's not exactly in the. I believe that is a different name that he uses on Team Liquid.
Team Liquid, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different in-game username.
Yeah, I've not seen his nick before, even on Shieldbattery. So maybe either I'm blind or he has a different username. Apparently, it's Dark Matter. I've definitely seen him online. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that, Evil Eye, on the chat. All right. So, do you know any of these players? Have you played with them before?
No.
No. Okay.
I may have played Race Wars, I think, with Dark Matter once, but that doesn't really count. Interestingly, it looks like Dark Matter's actually going to wall in the main choke. It is wallable with just a supply depot and a barracks, so that's a very strong wall to get early on. Blocks any early zealot pressure, which is, I would say, quite common given the circumstances. Both players maybe haven't played this map before, and
both players are going to go for the actually Dark Matter All-Stars is going for the correct scout, whereas Glaba, for representing Team Momo, is scouting.
Yeah, so Glaba's scouting the wrong way, but as soon as he sees the SCV coming from underneath his base, he'll see it come up to his nexus. Yeah. He should know that with the speed that scout comes across, he'll need to scout cross. Thing is, he won't be able to see anything because there's obviously the wall up already. But I mean, it's quite a common thing. If you're going to have a map like this where the wall is just 2 buildings, like Electric Circuit, Blue Storm, they're the 2 main ones I can think of, and obviously Aslaya, which is what this map's called. It is hard sometimes if you don't scout straight away to actually get that scout in. Interestingly enough, Dark Matter's... Yeah, I was going to say Dark Matter's not actually going for any Marines, so he's going to use his wall.
Yeah, he was building a Marine, but he cancelled it. And on the flip side, Glaba, he actually went ahead and sent his probe to bottom right. Despite the fact that
yeah, I mean, he did see the probe coming in. I guess he may have predicted that possibly there was a cross scout coming first of all. Terran most of the time don't really cross scout straight away, but I suppose it's maybe he just queued up the move and he was busy macroing his base, so he didn't bother. I mean, either way, it wouldn't have made too much of a difference because the wall was already finished. He's got 1 Marine. He's staying on gas.
Dragoon is up for Glaba as well with range. You said 1 Marine, yeah. 1 Marine is up, but Factory is now up for Dark Matter.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, Dark Matter's not actually chosen to take his SCVs off gas at all, so that's going to delay his command center just a little bit. As a matter of fact, it doesn't look like he's going to expand straight away.
We see that there's a Dragoon that's stuck actually in the main base, or it was stuck for a little bit. It might be a rally point.
Possibly. I mean, this map is kind of strange. It wouldn't surprise me if there were weird pathing errors. Yeah, maybe if you misclicked, I saw it was sort of rallied at the top of the base.
Okay.
We've got siege mode and his tank coming up at the same time, so that's pretty well timed. Right. But it is rather interesting that Dark Matter has decided to go for a little bit of a later command center, especially given the fact he hasn't been making Marines.
Yeah, he's been making only 1 Marine and 1 tank so far. And
so I mean, with the wall, that's all he really needs. But the thing is, to get his command center this late, that usually symbolizes you're going to give something like an FD, but because he's only got one Marine, he's not going to be able to really push, especially against currently 3, soon to be 4 Dragoons with range.
Yep, and Siege is up for Dark Matter. He got the Siege tank in his wall of his home base. He can't expand yet because this command center is not built, but when he does, he probably need to build a new wall because this wall is only effective for his main.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a small choke that he can defend his natural from. It looks like we're seeing an observatory come up from the Protoss, so it's a fairly standard build from him. He's actually going 1-gate expand. He's going to take his natural with the gas, so he's pretty much safe against anything Terran can really do. The interesting problem Terran has now, he's going to flood his factories now. He's going to go up to 3 fact. But the problem he's going to have is he's not really scouted outside of his wall. He's going to send the SCV now. Now the command center's lifted, but he is going to take the natural with just minerals, so he's going to be a little bit low on gas.
My question is that the SCV actually died pretty late, because despite having Dragoons for the Protoss, he actually sent his Dragoons where the choke is for the second and third base. So when he killed that Groom, I don't know if he actually spotted the observatory. I don't think he did. He only saw the 1 gate, and he probably did not see the 2 gate that's been formed as recent, as well as the observer. So now you do see Dark Matter moving out to secure his second base.
Dark Matter's actually made a bit of a strange choice here that I think is made purely because of lack of map experience. He built his command center within floating distance of the mineral only, and upon floating there, because he hadn't fully scouted the base, he actually flew away to the natural, which has delayed his mining time on his second base for quite a bit. He's going to add his third command center already. It is quite a strong option on this map because there is only 1 choke to defend both of them. But it would have been a much better choice to start mining on that mineral only and then get the gas afterwards.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you have a look, he's not even built a refinery yet, so he's not actually getting the benefit of that gas base.
We do see some vultures trying to get into Protoss base, but it's blocked by a lot of Dragoons with an observer just spinning around.
Which seems to be spinning around.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can see that, but that's cool. It's dancing.
Sometimes you do that manually. Sometimes that doesn't happen. It does it automatically when you misclick. But we do have an observer
must be patrolling on the spot.
We do have an observer in the Terran base actually. So he's going to see the mines. He's going to see that there is an engineering bay that's going up, and that third base happening at the middle only. So this might be a time for the Protoss to gather up some zealots maybe, and try to go for a initial attack, because there's only how many tanks? There is only.
It looks like there's about 3 tanks at the moment. The big thing is the observer's not really moved around too much. It's not seen everything. He's going to have to be careful of the mines because he does have quite a lot of vultures. But the issue the Protoss is going to have at the moment, and it's also the same issue the Terran has, is even though he has the observer in the natural, he's not actually going to check the factory count, which is quite important at this point. And the other problem he's going to have is the Terran's actually playing quite greedy, given the fact he doesn't actually have all the information he needs. He doesn't have scanner yet.
Well, we do see Protoss moving out now with all the Dragoons. There's a lot of Dragoons here. There are no Zealots yet, strange enough, but the Vultures are going to navigate around to possibly try to go into the second and third base. And Protoss, what he's been doing is that he just
Protoss, if he pushes now, he's going to be in a really good position because even though the Obs just died, he should have another one with his army.
And he does try to push.
Actually, 3 tanks to defend. He's killed all the Vultures pretty much, and he has defense back at home.
Now his observer has died, so he needs a new observer, and I believe the observer
he's got one there. He's got one there. He had one with his army. He's gonna possibly even kill this command center. The tanks are.
Yeah, but there are 4 tanks in a very good walling position right now with the SCV blocking. So now the question is, will he give up all his Dragoons for that SCV? I mean that command center. The SCV is playing that really well.
Yeah, so he should actually be targeting the SUVs at the moment. He needs to move those Dragoons back or he will lose every single one. He's not done enough damage, he's only made like for repair. If he'd have been sniping the SUVs that were trying to repair, he may have been able to get that, but he was sat in range of that, the tanks that were defending their command center for a bit, so I think he lost about 8 Dragoons there, which would be quite a big loss. But back at home, with his 4 gates, no, actually only 3 gates, which is kind of surprising, he needs to add a few more given his money. He's actually built up another little task force of Dragoons, and he's moving on, clearing the mines on the map.
And we see Dark Matter actually expanding, building 4 more factories, a total of 7 factories. That's going to happen very soon. That's a lot of factories, and once he gets 3 mining bases covered up, he could easily start making a lot of tanks and vultures to push out.
Yeah, so the big thing is he is on 3 base. One of the bases are mineral only, so he's going to have to stick with likely only 2 machine shops. I mean, he has 3 at the moment, but if he really wants to afford upgrades and everything as well, he's adding on another 2 factories. So it's going up to 9 factories on 3 base, which, while is kind of standard, you should see him flooding a lot of vultures here, and he'll go for a more aggressive approach to try and snatch that center base, most likely, and then take the bottom right.
And Dark Matter just did a 3 scan of each of the bases in Protoss, so he just scanned both mining base, second and third naturals, second and third base, the 2 naturals, and the main. So he knows what's going to happen. He sees the Adun being done, but we don't see any Zealots still.
He's flooding Zealots now, but the one problem he's going to have is he's only on, I'm just double checking, he's only on about 7 gates against 9-10 factories I think he's on now. So against 10 factories you really do need a lot more gateways. I believe the official count is something like Protoss needs to be on 1.5 times the amount of factories there are, because vultures, while they die pretty quickly to Dragoon fire and pretty quickly to Zealots as well, if he can keep flooding with them, he's actually going to be able to outproduce the Protoss, and in a situation like that, it's not really a good place to be in as a Protoss. It looks like Glaba is actually going to try and take the top right, which is a very, very good decision. He's got the Protoss stuck on the 3 bases.
Right,
but
and he does have the map control right now, because he's blocking Dark Matter. But Dark Matter is going to push out, and when it does, the Zealots needs to be in there in time to defend, to attack with the Dragoons.
Yeah, so Glaba here really needs to just try and slow down this push. He is still on 0-0, so he's not got any upgrades. I'm just double checking around to see if he's got an armory. He only has 1, but it's not actually upgrading anything. So he needs to make sure he's getting some upgrades going, and soon. He's got quite a lot of money. But the pure fact of the matter is he has a large army, and it's pretty good against just Dragoons and Zealots. The one thing he's going to need to be careful of is that he doesn't push too quickly, but with the 10 factories worth of flooding of vultures, no amount of Zealots is really going to be able to do too much. And I think Glaba's actually falling a little bit too far back. He's giving Dark Matter that position in the middle of the map, and that could be quite a scary position to him.
Because Dark Matter could now the map could be split, where Dark Matter could expand to the bottom right portion while slowly pushing.
I'm just checking around to see if the Arbiter Tribunal's done yet, which it isn't.
Stargate is up, but we don't see any Arbiter tag. Yeah,
Glaba's actually moving in for a big push. He's lost a lot of Dragoons already to the spread out tanks. And while the Zealots are getting on top of the tanks, there's just so many vultures.
There is so many vultures, there's a lot of tanks and a lot of vultures defending those tanks.
Yeah, looking back at the base during that fight, Dark Matter knew that he needed to just keep his macro going, and he's actually going to push forward. He's been double queuing vultures on all of his factories, while there's double queued tanks on the machine shop ones. But that's going to give him the pushing power. There's not enough gates up for Protoss yet, and this is a really strong Terran army still. He's trying to trade Dragoons for tanks, and it's just not working out. There's just far too many vultures soaking up hits.
And what's important is that the Protoss army was not ready, because he was in the process of going for 1 attack, 1 armor upgrade, which just finished, but it wasn't finished in time for that engagement earlier, and that was the big ticker. If he had the upgrades, this could have been a different story.
And also the rallies in the rally needs to be updated because actually taking a lot of damage on some of his dragoons there as they try to run out. The big problem he's going to have now is he's tried to take the top right, but he's not built any gateways up there yet. So he doesn't have anything that he can flank this army. And mines are going down the top of the dragoons. A huge mine hits and kills about 5 of them. So that's actually a really bad position to be in. And another mine goes off, which was actually dragged into his own army there by Zealots.
But there is no more vultures. There is no reinforcement army for Dark Matter right now. He has tanks and vultures coming up in few numbers, but it was enough units that Dark Matter had to fend off any attacks from
so
glaba
that was
right
it's a really nice position he's actually attacking from, and I think this is one of the reasons why it's so good for Terran, because there's actually a small choke that is now blocking Protoss from being able to get out. He doesn't have a flanking army. He's only got one gateway over there. He's going to move out with his Zealots again. There's mines in front of the tanks. They're going to try and drag the mines in, but they fail. And there's just way too many units here for Terran.
A scout is up!
Leading up the base.
Glaba actually made a scout, which is currently attacking the tanks but being hit by the turrets. Now attacking the tanks right now.
Yeah, so he built a scout with his 1 Stargate, and he still doesn't actually have an Arbiter Tribunal. Now the problem he's got now is he can't really afford to spend the time actually getting it, because there's vultures laying mines in front of the dragoons which he needs to micro against, and he's still trying to clear this position outside of his base, but it's just going to be too hard, I feel.
And constant exchange of units happening between Vultures and Terran. But Terran is in a very strong position with his macro right now. Glaba actually mined up his main, so those Protoss need to go elsewhere to mine. And that scout! No, the scout falls. That one sole scout. He even gets. I don't believe he even got a single kill. When I was checking the
it looks as if Glab was actually throwing all he has to try and get out of this, but there's just far too many well spread out tanks. He doesn't have enough gateways in his main, and without the gateways in the other main to really support this, he can't actually get any units behind to do any damage. And the other problem he has is mined out with main. He's gonna lose his third, which was his third in this case.
His mineral only natural.
Yeah, his mineral only, and he's actually slowly running dry on his natural, which is slowly going to be pushed.
Right.
There's not too much he can do to get out of this without that flanking army and without any arbiters.
Yeah, if he had a lot of gateways,
in a very bad position right now.
If he had a lot of gateways in his 4th and 5th base, there could have been an option to actually have 2 separate armies to flank that middle position. But right now, Dark Matter is not giving him a choice at all because a huge reinforcement is coming through with Vultures, Goliaths, and tanks.
Yeah, so he's added on the Goliaths there, not only thinking maybe there could be arbiters, but also the fact he saw a scout, which is maybe a little bit of a reaction. He's scanning again to try and find the extra bases. He actually scans in the middle of the dead space, not knowing where the bases are, which is a bit unfortunate, but I guess if you've not played the map before, there's not too much you can do. There's only 2 gateways at the top right, there's barely any probes mining there. He never actually got a chance to transfer them. And Dark Matter is just outside of his main now. There's actually a small choke leading out of his base now because of the way he built his buildings. And these tanks are just going to be make mincemeat of the dragoons.
These tanks are in a very strong position in trying to corner that little choke. And there's a GG by Glaba, with Dark Matter taking game number 3 and giving up the victory to Shieldbattery.
Yeah, so that actually makes it 2-1 for Shieldbattery, coming off of a win on the team melee and an unfortunate loss in the second game. That was a strong showing from Dark Matter in the third game. I'm not sure how much he practiced the map, but if he didn't practice too much, he played pretty well. There's a few things he could have done better, but there was definitely a lack of map experience there, which is understandable. I mean, the map is from 2005, so it's very unlikely you'd run across that on Icy Cup or Fish or anything like that. So well played to Dark Matter, and well played to Shieldbattery as well, taking the series to 2-1. We go into the 4th game, which will be on Colosseum.
Yep, and